Hello World Lit students, and welcome to our second module, Early Modern Chinese and Japanese Literature. I'm excited for you to read these works because I think you'll find some of these to be your favorites in the course, even though at first look they can seem very foreign and a little disorienting. Part of that is because the worldview, the philosophy, even the language is so different than what we're used to reading. Take the word enlightenment, for example. We just finished our first module a couple days ago, Enlightenment Literature from Europe. And in Europe, enlightenment means thinking for yourself, as the philosopher Immanuel Kant said. To be enlightened is to stand up, to have courage, to use your own reasoning and chart your own course through life. Not to do what teachers or preachers or kings tell you, but to decide for yourself what is the reasonable way to live. Well, as we're going to see, enlightenment in early modern Asian literature has a very different meaning. It means something more along the lines of waking up to the emptiness of the universe. Imagine if all of us were able to be here together in person, standing all along the sidewalk behind me. And imagine if each of us had a candle, and I lit the flame of the first person's candle. And then that person tipped the candle over to light the flame of the second student's and then blew his own out. The second student tipped it over to light the flame of the third candle and then blew her own out. And so on. This candle flame that looks like a real thing. We see its light, we might feel its heat if we put our fingers close to it. It looks like that flame is traveling from candle to candle down the line. And yet, in a more real sense, a candle flame isn't anything. It's a contingent convergence of air and fuel, a chemical reaction that bursts into ignition, but that's always falling apart, even as it is glowing into life. In the same way, from an Asian perspective, from a Buddhist perspective specifically, our own life is like that candle flame. Or as someone else has said, like the curve in a wave before it crashes on the shore. It seems so convincing that our life matters, that our goals, our ambitions, our education and the grades that we earn in our classes, the wealth that we accumulate in the course of a hard-working professional life, these things seem to matter to us so much. We long for love, we long for relationship, but sometimes we hurt ourselves by working too hard or grasping too tightly to other people. All things which are destined to only temporarily be part of our lives. People we love are born and die. Our own health and able-bodiedness comes and goes away. Money is fleeting, and success is hollow. And enlightenment, from a Buddhist perspective, is to take that candle flame that seems so alluring and valuable to us, as if someone in the middle of our line, partway down before the end, chose not to tip the flame over, but instead just doused the flame and put it out entirely. This is what nirvana means when you hear Buddhists talking about nirvana. Not heaven, not an afterlife, but waking up to the reality of the emptiness and choosing to let oneself cease to exist. There is a whole group of Buddhist devotees. Monks might be too strong a word because they are not actively practicing their faith except by choosing to let go. They're called the sannyasin. I once saw a video of an interview with the sannyasin, and the interviewer was talking to this man and said, can you tell us about who you were before you became sannyasin, before you left your name and your family behind and moved out here into this hut to spend the rest of your life? And the sannyasin said, it's better if I don't talk about these things. The interviewer said, well, how did your family feel about your decision to renounce, to become sannyasin? And the man said, it's better not to speak about these things. We're going to read some amusing, exciting, touching literature, some very beautiful poetry and language. And through these stories of a stone monkey that knows kung fu, that can fly on a magical cloud as he leads a priest on a journey to the west to find scriptures that can save the souls of a nation, Watch out for that stone monkey's inner insight. His name is Sun Wukong, or Baby Wake Up to the Emptiness. As we read the story of the stone, pay attention to the frame story of this magical stone that was left out of the building of the sky and that is brought down to human life to be part of an intense experience of love and sadness, of passion and renunciation. Bao Yu and Dai Yu and Bao Chai, the three young teenagers at the middle of this, whose lives have such a beautiful and touching agony as they try to live and to love and to find a meaning in the middle of wealth and luxury that is destined to pass away. As you read the haiku of Basho, these short poems that Basho weaves into a travel narrative as he and a friend about your age took a road trip on foot across the whole length of Japan. The book is called The Narrow Road to the Deep North. And Basho crafted the form of the haiku, this short 5, 7, and 5 syllable kind of poem that we're familiar with, out of an actually longer kind of poetry called renku that I'll tell you about later. He crafted these kinds of poems to focus in on our attention in only a few syllables, on nodes, on cruxes that touch on the heart of existence, the paradoxes of our world that help us see the beauty and the sadness and the deep meaning of things. And as we read the play, actually a puppet play full of passion and violence called The Love Suicides at Amajima, ask by the time you finish the play, what is the meaning of the chant that the monks are saying in the background during the tragic final scene of the play? All people will be caught in the net of the divine grace. I think you're going to love a lot of the literature we read. Happy reading.